right. Wow. A great obedient crowd. Look at that. In their seats. The speaker's on time. You know God's in the house. Amen. So we're going to launch into a session. So again, just hear me out, right? From my session last time. I'm one of you. So I'm not qualifying the rest of the stuff I'm going to say today. But let me just say this. I absolutely believe in God's delivering power. All right, I believe in it because it happened to me. People walk into our church. If they have cancer, the first thing we believe can happen is to have them come to an altar. And we believe they can walk out without cancer. But if they don't, then we tell them, do what your doctor's telling you to do. Amen. If someone walks into our church and they're struggling with drug addiction, we've had it where people have left cocaine on our altar and never touched it again. So we believe in a deliverance. But if it doesn't happen, then we also have a lot of other tools and resources and things to try to help them. Amen. So nothing we're going to talk about. I joke sometimes because I spend a lot of time training substance use counselors, and that can be a very liberal arena sometimes. So sometimes when I'm with all of my secular friends, I'm a little too religious for them. And then I joke, sometimes when I'm with all my pastor friends, I'm a little too secular for them. I'm just trying to fit in. I'm trying to find my lane. I'm trying to find somebody that'll accept me for who I am. So we're going to talk about substance use disorders. Our goals for this 20-minute session is to talk about what causes, when you see SUD, that's a substance use disorder. Talk about the science behind it and a concept. So here's the question we're going to try to answer for the next 20 minutes. Let's just take here in the Burlington area. I don't know exactly what town we're in, but I'll just use Burlington. That's where we're staying in our hotel. Is that, let's say 2 21-year-old boys, men, decide to go to a party tonight for the first time in their life. They go to this party, and there's alcohol there, and they drink alcohol for the first time. They're both 21. They've never tasted alcohol before. So here's the question we're attempting to answer. Why is it that one of those people will go on to drink alcohol the rest of their life without a problem? Now, again, we may be against it for religious reasons stuff, but I'm talking about just out in the world. They can drink alcohol responsibly. They never get arrested. They never drink and drive. It never causes them relationship problems. They'll do that the rest of their life. The other guy who drinks tonight for the first time, he will go on, and within about 6 years, he'll be in full-blown alcohol use disorder, can't keep a job, has had several DUIs or DWIs, maybe has been to jail a couple of times, can't keep a relationship. So the question is, what makes a difference between those two guys? Why can this guy drink responsibly for the rest of his life, and this person, it totally takes over and ruins their life? So let's think about this. So on your screen there, this first one says predisposition or physical wiring. I want you to think allergy. I want you to think allergies. We had some people over to our house that we kind of knew. They went to another church. They were ministry. And we were friends a little. So they came to our house one night, and we're all eating pizza. We got some pizza from Casey's. It's a gas station. We got a taco pizza. So we're eating this pizza, and all of a sudden the one guy starts kind of like scratching his throat, coughing a little bit, Mark Hearn. And we're like, what's going on? And then we realize he's allergic to beans or something, and didn't realize that this particular place put some beans on their taco pizza. You couldn't really see it because it was under stuff. So he's eating this taco pizza. And then literally we ended up calling 911, and they had to come give him the EpiPen, and it became kind of a dangerous situation. So now I'm sitting back there and I'm looking at this happen, in my front room. And once I knew he wasn't going to die, he was going to be okay, then I thought, I'm kind of glad this happened. This clicked with me. Here's my point. Mark, the guy, he didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to be allergic to beans. When I eat beans, I want this to happen. No, it's in his body, and he doesn't control that. There's something about his body when you have an allergy, right? And so I do believe that some people, who in here ever had a surgery, you've ever been put under, had anesthesia? I can get anesthesia And I mean, I wake up just like that. No issues, no problem. My wife, on the other hand, is loopy for like long. She'll be in the recovery room for hours past what she's supposed. Like her body just doesn't do well with anesthesia. We don't know why. Why does my body handle hers? We're wired differently. We're wired differently, right? I know there are people that take a pain medication. My wife being one of those, the first time she took a pain medication, she hated it. She's like, I hate the way this makes me feel. She's like, how could anybody become addicted to an opioid? How does people get addicted to this? I know other people, the very first time they took a pain medication, it's like the heavens open, and they're like, I've been looking for this all my life, right? So again, people's bodies process substance differently. Mental health conditions certainly factor in, and we'll talk more about that. The environment that people are raised in. What is the societal or their family norms, right? Some people, if you are raised and everybody around you is getting high, smoking marijuana, using, that's a mindset of what normal behavior looks like. Life events, which is going to be our next session, talking about trauma, the type of substances used. And then I want to specifically mention the timing of use, I live in Jeff City where I live is kind of rural. It's a country kind of area. The majority of people that I end up working with as adults, they will tell me their first use was before they were 8 years old, 9 years old. It's in our area, at least it's kind of. They're down on the fishing bank with dad, fishing at 5, and dad's letting them drink his beer at 5 years old. They have no idea what they're doing to that kid's brain that's trying to develop. And you start introducing substances into that developing brain, it makes it challenging for them. And so if we can prevent early use, people have a much better chance of never becoming addicted the longer they wait to use a substance for the first time. And then there could be 100 other reasons. Addiction, hear me, is a complex disease. It is a complex disease on how it interacts with people. And so in the secular world, we use this term, I timed out. We use this term, a biopsychosocial model. What does that mean? It simply means that it's a combination of factors. For some people, it may be a little more mental health or wiring. For someone else, it might be more social interaction. For someone else, it may be more trauma. And so my point is this: we can't just put everybody in a box and treat them all the same. Jesus didn't do that. He treated people as individuals. We need to be able to see individual people and see what is going on with them. And so when we talk to people, we've got to dig. We've got to kind of get a feel for who they are and not try to just give them easy answers. And so we have this biopsychosocial model. And so there's a term out there, the science behind the hijacked brain. I want to talk a little bit about this. And it can be debated. Is drug addiction a disease? Is it a disease? Right? It's not diagnosed by a doctor. I mean, you can make the argument, is this really a disease? I mean, I bought stuff from a guy standing on the corner, right? It's not like you're walking down the street and all of a sudden, whoa, I caught addiction, right? So people get confused sometimes when they talk about it being a disease, but let me explain to you at least my concept of this. So addiction's considered a brain disease because drugs change the brain, structure and function. It's true for most people, the initial decision to take a drug is voluntary. But hear me today. Let me talk about heart disease. Anybody ever had heart disease, been diagnosed, or knew someone that did? I see some hands going up, right? All we mean when we say, do we have any doctors in the room? Any medical professionals, doctors, right? You can correct anything you think I said wrong later. But if you take somebody that's been diagnosed with heart disease, all we're saying is that at some level, if you put their heart under a microscope, it's going to not look 100% healthy. Something is wrong with that heart, right? It's damaged in some way. You have heart disease. Now, what does that mean? What do you do about that? Well, for some people, it's diet changes. For some people, it's medicine. For some people, it's a stent. For worst case scenario, it may be bypass surgery. But the heart isn't working the way it should. Let me give another one, lung disease. If somebody has lung disease, what are we saying? We're simply saying that if you put it under a microscope, their lungs aren't 100% healthy. They've been damaged in some way. And so now maybe they can't walk across the room or they're taking oxygen. So when we say disease, sometimes we're saying there is an underlying organ that's damaged. It's not working 100% the way it should. So when I talk about people having a substance use disorder, I talk about them having a disease. Here's what I'm saying. That at some level, because of the addiction, their brain under a microscope is not going to look the same way as a 100% healthy brain. It's been changed. The structure and or the function has been changed. That's why, hear me, we work with folks all the time. We have a mom that has 3 kids. That mom loves her kids. I'm just going to be plain. I don't want to offend anybody. But you want to make my hair stand up? Talk about people and say, well, she must not love her kids or she wouldn't use. No, she loves her kids. But we're dealing with a lady that has trauma and brain changes. So the judge will look at her and say, if you use one more time, we're taking your kids away from you permanently. And this mom that does love her kids, she'll end up sometimes using again, even knowing what the consequences are. It's not for a lack of love for her kids, but it's a lack of the ability to make the right decision when it needs to be made. A judge will tell someone, don't drink and drive or you're going to prison for 5 years. And yet Friday night, they'll go buy a 12-pack and they'll get in their vehicle and drive. There's brains that aren't making the choices that need to be made. When you put it under a microscope, it looks different. All this is showing, again, healthy heart, diseased heart. At the top, control brain, a brain of someone that's using cocaine regular. We're just telling you, when you look at the dopamine and the serotonin and the neurotransmitters, it's going to look different. It's not a healthy brain. Now, here's where I think the church can be helpful, because most people, when they go to treatment, they go for 30 days or so. But if you look at this, normal subject across the top, middle shows someone the last time they used cocaine was a month. Down below, the last time they used cocaine was 4 months ago. What are you seeing? That even after 4 months of last use, their brain still isn't functioning correctly. It's why we send people that have been using meth for 10 years and we send them to a drug treatment program, and I thank God for drug treatment programs, but they go to a drug treatment program for 30 days, and then they walk out the door and they are given a certificate and we act like everything's gonna be fine. Most people are barely detoxing after 30 days. But if they could get connected to a church and to a group of support people, and especially to a church that has an addiction ministry or some kind of recovery ministry, we can walk alongside people while they are still readjusting to life without use. We're not limited to 30 days. We could walk with them for the rest of their life. This screen shows a lady, brain, normal, meth use after 14 months. Dopamine improvements after 1 year, but not cognitive and motor functioning. What am I saying? I'm saying brains can take years sometimes to become completely healthy again. They will, but it takes a while. I was working with a lady one time and she told me this. She said, Scott, I still don't feel the emotions like I used to feel. And it had been 2 years. She said, I'll be sitting with a group of people and they'll be laughing and having fun, and I'll recognize, yeah, that's funny, but I don't feel the joy. Now, what do I think? God can speed up this process. God can completely heal the brain in a minute if he wants to. But I'm also saying that for some of these folks, it's a process. All right, let's talk quickly about dopamine acting normal. Where's my parents in the crowd? All right, here's what you parents do. Normal, when I say normal, I'm talking about non-using parents. Here's how it works. You have your first kid. Who remembers the first time your kid took a step? All right, so normal dopamine level, man, you're a parent and your little kid, and you're watching them, they're at home, they stand up, they take that first step and they fall. And you're going nuts. You're calling everybody. You're telling everybody. You're excited, man. They took their first step. I don't want to disappoint you, but it's like, is it really that impressive? I mean, weren't you kind of expecting it? Like, they're not the first kid to walk. Millions, billions of people have walked. And they barely took a step and down they went. But you're like, oh, right? Where are my grandparents in the room? You're the worst. Grandparents. I used to coach T-ball. And grandparents are in the crowd. And their grand hits the tee. They don't even hit the ball. They hit the tee. And the ball falls 1 foot in front of it. And grandparents think they've got the next Babe Ruth. I mean, they're in the stands screaming like, did you see that? I'm the coach. I'm like, yeah, I saw it. I'm joking, but hear me. That's how normal dopamine, that's normal life. We get excited about those things, and we should. Here becomes the problem. People start putting drugs into their brain. Meth, coke, that begins to release 2 to 10 times the amount of normal dopamine level. And so all of a sudden your brain says, I've got too much of this stuff in my brain. And so your brain will try to adjust. It's a smart creature. And so the brain will start to reduce the amount of dopamine that it naturally produces because it's being overloaded with this artificial stuff that's not supposed to be in there. And now when I start to quit using this substance, my brain's like, where is it? Where's that dopamine boost that I'm used to getting every day? And so, I don't know if anybody here likes roller coasters. I'm a roller coaster guy. I love amusement parks, those kinds of things. Man, it's like I've been riding in St. Louis. They have Six Flags, Mr. Freeze. It goes like 70 miles, up, straight up, backwards, and all that. So it's like I've been riding that, and then you tell me, you can't ride that anymore. I want you to ride this little kid train that's going 2 miles an hour in one little loop and be excited about that. That's what we're asking people that stop using substances to try to become normal again, to try to get normal pleasure out of normal life things. And it's a process for them. It's a process. Let me just give you two. This is awesome. I got 2 minutes 30. Let me give you 2 concepts. Where are my coffee drinkers? All right. We could start a recovery meeting right here. I drank 1 cup of coffee when I was in college. Hated it. Never touched it again. Never drank it again. My roommate's like, you got to acquire a taste for coffee. I'm like, if I got to keep drinking something until I like it, I'm done. So I've never touched it again. So, but all you coffee drinkers, let me just ask you. Now, I don't want willy-nilly. I'm talking about where are my coffee drinkers every day, first thing in the morning. All right. What would happen, this is going to be weird, but just go with me. What would happen if you woke up tomorrow morning, walked down to your kitchen if you were at home, and I'm standing in your kitchen. That's the weird part, but I'm in your kitchen, and I say, no more coffee for the rest of your life. You coffee drinkers, hear me. How many of you, if you didn't get your coffee, don't talk to me till I get my coffee? How many have bad attitudes? How many of you are probably going to be in prison by 2 o'clock for killing someone? That's by not getting your coffee. And we tell them, Brother Hinton, we take people that have been putting meth into their body every day for 8 years, or cocaine, or marijuana, or alcohol, whatever you want. And all of a sudden, one day, we just say, done for the rest of your life. Quit using. Craving. It's powerful. It's a powerful concept that people desire it. And the last concept that we have is conditioning. Conditioning. Conditioning means you're used to it. How many? Man, my wife and I's wedding song was Luther Vandross, Here and Now. That was one of our wedding songs. We've been married 30 years. I can be in Walmart, and if I just happen to hear Luther Vandross, Here and Now over the thing, like I can see my wife standing right in front of me in her wedding dress, right? I can almost smell what it was like. Like if I'm not careful, I'm trying to kiss her, and there's nobody there, right in Walmart. What am I saying? Conditioning is powerful. Your brain connects memories to smells. I can smell certain things, and I'm sitting on my grandma's porch as a kid. All right? That's conditioning. Your brain connects things. Let me tell you something. It doesn't mean I'm going to go use, but this is my last point, and it's break. I'm out of time. But let me tell you how strong, right? My wife's never used cocaine. If she's in the kitchen baking this week and spills flour, and I'm not joking, if she spills flour and it just falls on the counter, she thinks I spilled flour, she'll clean it up. I promise you. If I was in the kitchen, Brother McAllister, and I see her drop flour and it just drops and there's a line of white flour, my brain immediately thinks cocaine. It always will. It always will, because it's in there. And I'll immediately think cocaine, and I just got to shake my brain and be like, no, that's flour. But that memory is always going to be there. And so we've got to be aware of that when we're working with people, and being aware of the support that we provide people, and just some of those things that we're going to talk about over the next couple of sessions. That went quick. It's 11:21. We're coming back at 11:30. I'm sorry I took 2 minutes of your break. You got 8 minutes this time. We're going to come back at 11:30. 11:30.